one. Malik Mustafa, injured, questionable. If he can't go and Tashaun Gipson has to start, is that bad?
Yeah. In some instances, like, coach love the kids. So for me, I feel like, I want the young guys to play. I feel like if he's young enough to play to show us, flashes of what the kid can be now, I always want him on the field, right? But, for me, like I was brought up before earlier in the show, I kind of got emotional, I got switched off emotionally, where I thought bringing him in was one way, but then once the guy got acquired and got, brought into the team, he completely, shifted the narrative with the injury of Malik Mustafa. Bringing in Tashaun Gipson, I looked at him, like I said before, as somebody that could bring in veteran leadership. He understands what the Niners have done. He's been in deep into the season with what the Niners have brought this defense. And for what Tashaun Gipson probably lacks in the run game, because he's going to struggle in the run game. For what he struggles with in the run game, he definitely is a ball hawk in the pass game, and the guy has veteran angles. He just knows where to go on the field, right? Sometimes the field looks like the two white hashes to other players, and then other players, the field looks like a 4-lane highway, and they know how to switch in between the slow lane, the speed lane, the pass spot. They know exactly where to go. Tashaun Gipson is one of those guys. He just is veteran. He knows where to go on the field. That much is an uptick with if he does play and Malik Mustafa can't go. But for me, it is worrisome because that means that we also lose another willing tackler and somebody who's dynamic and bringing that presence, that physicality of what the 49ers bring. So I am worried about it because I'd much rather have Malik Mustafa on the field and Tashaun Gipson coaching him up rather than the other way around.
Allow me to retort, as Samuel L. Jackson once said. I feel like this defense, I mean, we've seen Tashaun Gipson on the defense. He does well in it. He's different than Malik Mustafa. But I think having a vet who would communicate probably better than Mustafa could help the whole secondary. Because, and I'm not saying he's not communicating well. I don't know. I'm not on the field. But like the miscommunication on the CeeDee Lamb touchdown in the fourth quarter against I didn't see stuff like that when Gipson was out there. So I don't know. I mean, if Mustafa can't play, he's the first option. He should start. But if he can't go, I'm curious to see like what impact Gipson would have because he was always so good on the team. I mean, he wasn't so good, but he was extremely solid. Extremely solid.
Well, part of communication is also saying, stop, he's too fast. He's running past me. So that, it can go two different ways, man. I understand what talking.
How often did that happen to Tashaun, though? It happened in the Super Bowl.
It did a lot. And really, it's not even really the pass game. I mean, the biggest play of the game was on Tashaun, right? That kind of pivoted the entire game. But really, like I said, I'm not even really worried about that with Tashaun. I mean, unless he's in shape. There's that element too. He hasn't had a camp. He's coming in off the street. I don't care how many burpees and workouts you do that you can put on Instagram shorts. It's not real football. So he's got to be able to come in and show that he can actually run and play. I would trust that the Niners have gotten that much done, which I know they will. That's a kind of ridiculous assertion. But for me, it's really the run game. We're not good. We're soft in the run game, particularly from D tackle to DN. And another thing about it is that I love what Fred Warner brings to us, but he's taken a lot of physicality. There's been a couple of times where Fred Warner has actually come out and we had to kind of like hold our breath to see if he would get back in the games. So for me, I think that having a guy, I want to draw syntax to what I'm saying. I'm not kind of going off the rails. What I'm saying is that guys like Malik Mustafa help preserve players like Fred Warner, right? Guys where, hey, I'm going to be in the run game. I'm going to fill my gap. But a guy that I know is going to fly down into the box, kind of sacrifice his body, be that force contributor, that allows me to just kind of do my job in the run game versus really go all out in the pass game where I know I'm really needed, right? Versus where now you got Gip in there and it's like, oh my God, it's got to be me. It's going to be me. Like, you got to do it. So, like, my biggest thing is is this another contributor to the defense means that there's another wrinkle, which means that they're going to have to play again. They're going to have to find another way how to play with each other. So I don't like it, but you got to do what you got to do.
Speaking of in sync in Tampa, okay, I don't know what Tampa's famous for, but Orlando's close by, and all the boy bands are from there. Like, you know, the Bay has rap, DC has go-go, and Orlando has NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys and O-Town.
It's really nice.
It's really nice. Just wanted to point that out there. Jewish guy says he's a creative wordsmith, talks the most ish, gets in people's heads, a real Grant Cohn. If you want to be positive, look up his compliment battle. Okay, I will look up Pat Stay's compliment battle. That sounds like something a Canadian could pull off. I'm sorry. I grew up watching South Park. Dave Barclay says,
he's a K-Dot fan.
Who's that?
He's a fan of K-Dot.
Okay. Dave Barclay says, who has lived up to their contract? 54. Who else?
King of the Dot. Sorry, not K-Dot.
Okay.
Go ahead.
85 has lived up to his contract.
Who else has lived up to their contract?
71 until this year.
Hold on. Wait, I was just about to say that. There's a lot of guys that you could easily say have lived up to their contract, but most of them dumped their contract and got re-upped for guaranteed money. So if you want to look at, that's an interesting topic. Like if you want to look at who has lived up to their contract versus their new money, right? That's kind of like the danger that they pose. So Trent Williams was living up to his contract until he got guaranteed money. Now, based off of what you've seen thus far, would you say Trent Williams is living up to his contract?
No.
Exactly. With Christian McCaffrey, up until this moment, if he would not have got a new deal, now that he has a new deal based on this money, has he lived up to his contract?
No.
Brandon Ayuk.
No.
Come on, man. Right.
Juwan Jennings was on the
Jennings
Colton
has
McKivitz.
Colton McKivitz has lived up to his contract.
Hell yeah.
A Jeopardy question. Now that's a Jeopardy question. I'll take 49ers who have lived up to their contract in 2024, Alex.
No,
for 800.
That's a Family Feud question. Colton McKivitz are like, good call. They're like, sorry, hasn't lived up. You don't watch Family Feud?
I do.
Okay. Josh White says, question for Coach, does Malik Mustafa have the skill set to be an effective blitzer? I feel like that's the most damaging part of losing Hufanga. Yeah,
I like his angles. One thing about him is that he's going to have to understand that bringing just physicality ain't enough. He's got to bring technique. He saw that against running against basically Patrick Mahomes. You sacrificing your body is not enough. And we love it. Malik, we love it. But you got to bring your feet. All right. You got to bring your near shoulder. You got to drive and run through the topic. And run through not the topic, but the the target. My biggest thing is that I think that for what Malik Mustafa has done in the league, on top of what we saw in college, I'm really impressed with what he can bring. I think he's a plus athlete. I agree. I think he can be a little bit better than what Huff can bring because, I don't know, Grant, tell me. I think he's a little faster than Huff. He moves faster than him.
Yeah, but Huff's better than him.
Yeah, well, a 3-year-old is older than an infant. Like, what does that mean? Like, all right, yeah, Huff is better than him, but Malik Mustafa literally has gains on his career.
I disagree with you. I think this defense has missed Huff since he's been out last year. Like,
well, what version of Huff?
The All-Pro version. I mean, I
when have we seen that?
I thought he was doing pretty well last year before he went down. Like, he got the All-Pro nod in 2022. He gave up a bunch of touchdowns that year. In 2023, he didn't, and he was still getting turnovers. But people said he was having a down year. I don't know. I think he's one of their best playmakers, one of the most consistent playmakers, even though he's slow.